What is up, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Touchdown and Ties, the father-daughter sports podcast discussing football and everything else in between. I'm your co-host, Brianna, the daughter of this duo.
What up, everybody? And I'm Keith, her dad, the other co-host.
In today's episode, we're going to be wrapping up week 10 of college football, as well as some other very exciting moment in sports. But before we do, of course, if you haven't already, please go ahead and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. That way you can get updated whenever we upload an episode. And of course, it also helps us out as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, y'all, let's do this.
We are going to start this episode in the huddle because we absolutely have to talk about the Dodgers going back-to-back and winning the World Series. The first time a team has done that in 25 years, and they are on their way to starting a dynasty as they have won 3 of the last 6 World Series championships.
It was an incredible game. You know, when you see moments like that, you try not to be a prisoner of the moment and think like, wow, that was the greatest game I ever saw, the greatest series I ever saw. Because I'm sure if I sit and I think about it enough, you know, I can come up with some other examples of some games that were pretty good. But having said that, it was an incredible game. And it's one of those moments where when I was a kid, there used to be a sports show that was called Wide World of Sports. I think I may have referenced this once before, but it was called Wide World of Sports. And in the intro, they would always they would have this saying where they would say it was the thrill of victory, and they would show teams winning, and then they would say the agony of defeat. It would be this guy coming down the ski slope, and he would fall and wipe out. And every time a team lose a tough series, I always think about that, because on the one side, you saw just how excited the Dodgers were. And then on the other side, you saw Vlad Guerrero. He's crying in the dugout. The fans are heartbroken. It was just a devastating loss for Toronto and their fans. And it's going to take a while to get over that. I mean, they had it right. They were 2 outs away and end up losing.
I mean, if I was, a Blue Jays fan, I feel like I would be physically unwell for at least like a month after this, because arguably up until the 8th inning when Max Muncy hit that home run, but for sure when Miguel Rojas hit his home run in the 9th inning, you probably thought that, okay, we're probably going to win this. And then the Dodgers just completely turned it on and, were amazing up until what would be an 11-inning game. I mean, they just watching that and watching the excitement, I was like, I can only imagine what it would be like if that game was in LA and not in Toronto, for the Dodgers to come back and do what they did towards the end of that game. That was insane.
It was gut wrenching. I mean, I never got the feeling that the Dodgers were going to win the game. I mean, because Toronto, they led 3-0.
Yeah. Total
control of the game. Scherzer was pitching really well. The Dodgers couldn't get any momentum going at all. And then all of a sudden, they kept chipping away. And the most unlikely guy, I mean, I was thinking okay, just get it to Ohtani and maybe, he has an opportunity to tie the game in the bottom of the top of the 9th inning. But then, like you said, Rojas hit that home run and it was just
crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The one thing is just is such a niche thing, but I really love the snap of a baseball when it hits it perfectly, when it goes for a home run. I just love that noise. It's so appealing. But going back to what you were saying about not thinking that the Dodgers were really going to win that game, I was watching a lot of TikToks and seeing people on social media. I feel like a lot of the Dodgers fans could agree with what you're saying, because a lot of them were saying that they felt outplayed 5 of the 7 of those games. I mean, they were out hit for a majority of that series, and just how well Toronto was playing, especially compared to last year, how they swept the series, and then this year it went to 7s. A lot of Dodgers fans were kind of really seemed to really be confident either. So like I said, it ended up being, a great series, a great game 7. I mean, just shout out to LA. That's great for them to win that game.
I mean, I watched the whole series, and at no point did I think that the Dodgers were better than Toronto. Toronto was just playing incredible. I mean, they controlled a lot of that series, and unfortunately, at the end, they couldn't get it done. The Dodgers made a few more plays, obviously, than they did. I mean, we talked about the hits, but what about the plays in the field when my man in the center fielder, I can't think of his name right now, but he leaps up over the left fielder.
Oh, yeah. Hernandez and Paez, they kind of run into each other.
Yeah, they run into each other, and he caught the ball.
It was sequential, because right before that, Rojas had stopped, they had gotten out for the Blue Jays guy that was coming into the home base.
Right.
So it's basically back to back. They had prevented, or gotten basically 2 outs that could have helped the Blue Jays go up again. Like I said, they were just from pitching to hitting to doing whatever they were doing. I mean, I felt the Dodgers really locked in. They got that momentum that they needed. And then, the Blue Jays just couldn't come back and do it, And one thing, I don't know anything about baseball numbers baseball
Mhm.
stats and those I know it's like
Mhm.
point something, 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 and it's a pretty low number for like a pitcher or
Mhm.
a hitter or whatever, but
Mhm.
Yoshinobu Yamamoto, apparently he
Mhm.
had an amazing series. I mean, he went all the
Won 3
games with no
games.
rest in between and was able to really come in clutch for the Dodgers as well this series, so shout out to him. That was great.
Yeah, I mean, he pitched on Friday night,
Mhm.
7 innings or whatever it was, and then came
Mhm.
back last night and pitched another 2 or 3 innings, which was
2 or 3,
incredible
yeah.
for him to be
Yeah.
able to come back. I've seen it happen before. I think Randy Johnson
Yeah.
did it, way
Mhm.
back in the early 2000s or whatever when he was playing with the Diamondbacks or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's rare for a starting pitcher to be able to do something like that. You
Yeah.
pitch one night, almost a complete game, and then you come back the next night and pitch again, and you get the win. It was just
Yeah.
incredible, man. I mean, it was an
Mhm.
incredible moment. If you only started watching that game in the ninth inning, you
Mhm.
saw a great game. You really
Honestly.
saw a great game. You
Honestly.
saw you saw the
Yeah.
home run to tie it. You saw the
Mhm.
defensive plays that were made, and the guy
Mhm.
who actually ultimately hit the game-winning home run, Will Smith is
Will
his name.
Smith, yeah. Yeah.
This guy has won the World Series 6 years in a row. It's
Yeah.
he's won the
It's
World
yeah.
Series 6 years in a row.
Yeah.
I mean,
2
that
great
is
Will
just
Smiths
it's
in the
just
world.
incredible. Yeah, it's just incredible, man.
Yeah.
So, congratulations to the Dodgers, to their fans. They got it
Yeah.
done. Now they have an opportunity to maybe three-peat next year.
Yeah.
Another little stat, you were talking about them being the first team to repeat since the Yankees, did the three-peat that
Mhm.
ended in 2000. So that was 25 years. But they're
Mhm.
the first National League team to win it back-to-back since 1975.
Oh, wow,
So
so
it's been
even longer.
50 years.
50
Yeah,
something
since a
years.
National League
Oh,
team
50 years, yeah.
won the World Series back to back. So it just goes to
Wow.
show A, how hard it is to win a championship, and B,
Mhm.
how much harder it is to go back to back. So
Yeah.
congratulations to those guys, I guess.
Yeah. And also a fun fact that I didn't know, because again, I'm not a baseball
Mm-hmm.
girly, but I am learning. I did not know
Uh-huh.
that Magic Johnson was an owner of the Dodgers,
Yeah,
and
Magic
he
Johnson
now
on
has
everything.
18 rings
Yeah.
from
Magic
all the
Johnson is also
teams that he's
he's
been a
also a
part
part
of. I'm
owner.
like,
Yeah, he's been a part of the Lakers when he was a player and as a part
yeah.
owner. Magic Johnson is also part owner of the Washington Commanders as well. He's got like a little small
What?
ownership stake in the Washington Commanders. Yeah,
Wow, that's really I did
Magic is
not know
everywhere.
that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
Magic.
he's
I love
everywhere,
that.
man.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's really cool. Okay.
18
All right,
championships
LA.
though is crazy.
Yeah,
It's
that's
crazy.
crazy. Yeah. All right, timeout is over. Let's get back into football. All right, week 10 already. We are almost there. We are in the last month of the regular season. It is officially November. And this
Yes, it
past
is.
week we saw 3 teams in the top 10 lose. As of the rankings of yesterday, number 8 Georgia Tech, number 9 Vandy, and number 10 Miami, respectively, all lost yesterday.
Yeah, can we talk about Miami for a minute? I mean, they were ranked as high as number 2 at one point in this season. Everybody was kind of like touting Carson Beck as maybe being an early season Heisman Trophy favorite,
Mm,
and this team has just fallen apart. I mean, I know they've only lost 2 games, but
yeah,
any hope of them maybe even making it to the playoffs right now are pretty dim. We saw Beck throw that interception again in overtime, and then afterwards come out and blame his coaches for running the same play or whatever that's supposed to mean. I don't know what that
right,
means. If they,
right,
they call the same play executed. I mean, so I don't know
right.
exactly what that means, but
Yeah,
it was SMU's first time beating a ranked team at home, I think since 1974. So it was a big win for SMU, but at the same
yeah.
time, Miami has, disappointed once again. They have a lot of talent
Mhm.
and, they're not going to win a championship this year.
Yeah, and I'm not familiar with all of the rankings in the ACC, but I
Mhm.
mean, I should be. But other than Miami, I mean, do they still have a chance to compete for the ACC championship? I mean, because what other teams in the ACC are good? I
A
mean, they
good
probably still win. Yeah, they probably still will end up going to the ACC championship, right?
Well, I know Georgia Tech just lost their first game. They're in the
Right.
ACC, so Georgia Tech will be there. I mean, I'm not 100%, I
Yeah.
don't follow the ACC like I follow the Big 18. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure of what all the teams are doing. I know Georgia Tech is 8-1 now because they just lost their first game. So
Hmm.
obviously will have an opportunity to be in that championship game, but I would have to look up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and see
Like
what
the
everybody else
standings
is
and
doing.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. but 2 losses right now is going to be tough for them to overcome.
For sure. Like you said, it's just interesting, the narrative with Carson Beck. I mean, I don't know the kid. I don't know what goes on in his brain. I'm not going to be accusatory, but like you said, it seems like
Right.
a lot of times when the mistakes that are his own, he's
Yeah.
so quick to not take accountability and, blame it
Yeah.
on somebody else. Like you said, before it was his receivers. Now it's,
Yeah.
the coaches and the plays that they're calling. But it's like at the end of the day, you still got to execute it.
Gotta
That it's
execute it. Yeah.
part of that is still on you. Like, we talk about all the time, play calling. Yeah, it cannot be great 100% of the time,
Right.
but it's like whatever the play is, it's still your responsibility as a player to go out and execute whatever play is called. The
Yeah.
play wasn't for you to throw an interception. you know,
We know that. We know that for certain.
we know
Yeah.
that for certain.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
man, dude, like I understand, but it's to a certain sense, like it's like both sides got to take accountability. And like I said, when
Oh,
he
yeah.
was at Georgia, he was doing the same thing. So like, was it the play calling at Georgia as well?
You're the quarterback, man. I mean, you have to be the leader of the team. I mean, even if it's not your fault, sometimes you have to take the bullet for it, so to speak.
Yeah.
You can't throw the coaches under the bus. You can't throw your teammates under the bus. You have to sit there and say, hey, look, I just need to play better. I got to execute that play better. There's no excuse for me to throw an interception in the red zone at the goal line, if you will, in that situation. I just have to do better. Even if your receiver ran the wrong route, or even if the coaches are calling the same plays, you got to take some accountability for it, right? I mean, you are the leader of the team. You're the quarterback. So you can't sit there and just say, hey, it wasn't me.
Right.
If they had to call better plays, I wouldn't have thrown an interception. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't do
exactly.
that. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking at the standings now. Virginia is actually 5-0 in the ACC, and Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh are both 5-1. So, I mean, it's not
Whoa.
likely that Miami will be able
Well,
to, because they're
interesting.
like number 8 or something like that, 7 or 8 in that conference. So,
Oh,
it's
wow.
unlikely that they're going to be able to, to reach that title game. But we'll see. I mean, there's 3 or 4 games left to go in the season. Anything can happen. But right now, Virginia and Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh are the 3 leaders in the ACC.
The age that we are living in
Mm.
now in sports, not in just college football, but in sports in general, to
Yeah.
where you're telling me that UVA, Georgia Tech,
Yeah.
and Pitt are
Yeah.
leading their conference.
Yeah.
The
I'm
world
looking
is
right
not
at it.
real right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, the world is
Yeah.
not real right now. Because what do you
Yeah.
mean? What?
Yeah. There's no
No disrespect to
Clemson.
them, but like, yeah, no Clemson, like, and
No
to be fair, like,
Miami. No
no
Florida State.
Miami, no Florida State,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
doesn't even
Shout out to
sound right,
Virginia,
but
man.
yeah, okay.
Shout out to them, man. They doing well. I didn't
Yeah,
know that. I
me
know that.
neither. I had no
But
idea.
they're leading. They're in the lead right now in that
Well,
conference. So we saw Texas look pretty good yesterday. I mean, they were dominating Vanderbilt. I thought that was going to be a good game. I mean, the final score really didn't show, or was not
show the type
indicative
of game
of
it
the
was.
game. I mean,
Yeah.
because Texas was up like 34-10.
Yeah.
Going into the fourth quarter, and Vanderbilt came back and scored some touchdowns. But Texas they looked pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it was a blowout. I mean, subtle foreshadowing. The opening possession, Texas went for a 75-yard
Mm-hmm.
TD. It's like that was
Right.
they just took the game from there.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot believe how good Texas looked on all fronts yesterday. I mean, I feel like Arch Manning probably had the best game that he's played this season. The
No
team was
question.
moving the ball well. They only
Mm-hmm.
punted the ball once. They was having trick plays, flea flickers. There was a resurgence of the offensive line. And the defense continued to be effective in stopping the run game. They had 10 tackles for a loss, 6 sacks. And in a way, Texas kind of put Vandy back in their place a little bit. They kind of reminded them of, like, you're Vanderbilt. No offense to Vanderbilt, but, they kind of reminded them like, hey, like, this is SEC football. Texas played a great game. I feel like they looked like the team that everybody thought, they were going to be at the beginning of the season as the preseason number 1. And I didn't know this, but this was Texas' first home game since September 20th.
I heard that. That was crazy.
They were on the road for 42 days.
Wow. And that's unheard of for a big time college program to play that many games
Texas,
away from home.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
I thought that was.
I know they have they have the game against Oklahoma that they play in Dallas, but I mean, other than that,
kind of sort of at home, but
yeah, where have they been playing?
Yeah.
They haven't been playing at home. Where have they been playing? That's insane.
I know.
But, Arch Arch Manning played, you said it, he played his best game as a starting quarterback for Texas. I mean, he had over 300 yards in that game. The defense played well. It seemed like ever since that Oklahoma game when, they won the Red River rivalry game. Try saying that real fast.
I guess you gotta slow down when you
Texas,
say that one.
yeah, you definitely have to slow down. Yeah, Texas has kind of like turned the corner a little bit. Archer's
Yeah.
been playing really well, so they have a chance now coming down the stretch. If they keep winning,
Yeah.
they have an opportunity to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, and like you said, Vandy, they had a late rally. I mean, did you say they almost kind of recovered that onside kick
They
in
did.
the fourth
They
quarter
did.
because they came back and they scored, and I think it was what
Yeah,
31-34 at the time. So, I
it
mean,
was.
shoulda, woulda, coulda. We don't really know what would happen even if they did recover the onside kick, but they
Hmm.
had a lot of chances that they didn't really take advantage of. There was one point in that game. I know a lot of people as in Texas fans were upset about the officiating in that game.
Hmm.
However, that 2-point conversion that they gave to Vandy,
Hmm.
the pylon cam clearly showed that ball did not cross the line.
Yeah,
That was like an
yeah,
egregious mistake on the
yeah.
officiating. I'm like,
It
dude,
was.
seriously? He was nowhere near the plane.
Right. Kind of like the pass interference call against Clemson in that game that they lost. The guy called the pass interference on fourth down against Duke
Mm,
and called the pass interference, kept the drive alive, and Duke was able to go down and ultimately get the touchdown and 2-point conversion to win the game. Just, you don't want to blame refs when they make bad
yeah.
calls because you have a lot of opportunities, but my goodness,
Beforehand,
those
yeah, but
it's
but like I said, that was
just
just
some bad
blatant.
calls.
Like, come
It's
on,
bad
that
calls.
was not
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this loss, it did kind of hurt Vandy. They're now 7-2, so they would basically have to win
Hmm.
out to keep their SEC and CFP hopes alive. Texas is going in their bye week. They have Georgia in 2 weeks, so the loser of either of those games will basically be out of the SEC race as well. So
Right.
this win definitely did help Texas, but both teams are kind of still they still
They're
really got
still
to
in it.
keep the foot on the gas, yeah, to make sure that
They're
they,
still in it.
have their postseason hopes. But yeah,
For
that was a great
sure.
game too.
Yeah, it was a pretty good
Yeah.
game. The Oklahoma game
Yeah.
was good too. Oklahoma,
Yeah.
Tennessee last night was a
Tennessee.
really good
Uh-huh.
game. Yeah.
I have to tap into my girly side here. I
Mm.
loved Tennessee's uniforms. That's all I'm gonna say. They looked amazing. I turned the TV. I was like, oh, I said they look very clean. I love their uniforms, but I mean, because Tennessee, they started off strong in that game, but
Mhm.
after that scoop and score from OU off of that fumble, when dude was like
Yeah.
basically stiff arming the guy and kind of like dragging him down the field into the end zone. I mean,
Right.
it was kind of exciting plays on both sides. I mean, interceptions, fumbles, all the things. I mean,
Mhm.
that was a great game for OU and Tennessee.
Yeah, it was close throughout. Aguilar, he had a really good game. I think he passed for almost 400 yards in that game.
Mhm. Mhm. He had 2
Tennessee
interceptions
led.
though.
He had 2 interceptions. Tennessee,
Yeah.
I think they won every statistical category. I think they had more first
Mm.
downs. I think
Mm.
they were over 50% on third down, more passing yards. But there's only one statistic that count, and that's on the scoreboard. And Oklahoma had
Mhm.
more points than them. But it was
Yeah.
it was a good game. I mean, Aguilar, like I
Yeah.
said, he passed for 400 yards, but he threw those 2 picks, so that hurt. But
Yeah.
Oklahoma, big win for them. They keep their
Yeah.
their hopes alive for
Mhm.
not just the playoff, but also going to the SEC championship game
Championship.
if they can
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah. There was a play at the end I wanted to kind of pick your brain on. It was at the end of the fourth quarter, the OU player voluntarily dropped to the field at the end zone before
Hmm.
scoring. And it was like a minute and 49 seconds left in the game. But at that point, it still would have been what, a 2 possession game, even if he did score that quickly. Like, I get why they
Right.
do it because you don't want to go down the field too fast, score, and then give the other team time to come back and, potentially tie the game or win the game or whatever. But I felt like in that moment, it was the right decision,
Right.
yes, but I felt like because it was a 2 possession game that he didn't really need to do that. But I don't know what my question is. I guess why? I don't know.
Yeah. I think you just answered your own question. He
Okay.
did it just simply because, he didn't want to give Tennessee an opportunity to get the ball back and
Mm-hmm.
potentially. I mean, because it was still like what, a minute, almost 2 minutes to go in the game.
Minute and 49
Yeah.
seconds, like when he initially dropped to the field, because at that point it
Yeah.
was first and goal.
Yeah. So I understood why he did it. Because
Mm-hmm.
just think about it, if he scored a touchdown there, right? It's a minute
Yeah.
40, minute 50 to go in the game. I mean,
Yeah.
technically, they still have an opportunity. I mean, because Tennessee
Yeah.
can get the ball back, they have to kick the ball off. What if the guy returned the kick all the way for a touchdown? Or what
Yeah.
if, if it's a touchback and then on the first play they get a 80-yard touchdown pass or a
Yeah.
75-yard
Yeah.
touchdown pass. So I get what
Okay.
he was thinking, even though
Yeah.
it would have given them a 2 possession lead, it still was enough time on the clock potentially for them to score twice. I mean, I've seen stranger things
Yeah.
happen,
Yeah.
in football games. So I understood why he did it. I mean, ultimately, I think they still went in and scored the
They
touchdown
said, like,
anyway.
right after, like I said,
Yeah.
it was like first and inches essentially, so they couldn't
Yeah.
really, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he could have taken a knee. He could have just taken a knee if he wanted
Yeah.
to on that next play just to run some more time off the clock. I don't know. I don't remember uh, Tennessee's timeout situation there. I don't know
Me
if they were
neither.
out of timeouts or if they still had one or two timeouts left. Because if they had timeouts left, then just score, right?
Right.
Because it doesn't matter. They're going to keep stopping the clock anyway. But if they didn't
Mhm.
have any timeouts remaining, then I understood perfectly why he did that. I had a guy
Yeah,
that I
okay.
work with. I can't remember. It was an NFL game not too long ago. I can't remember who was playing, but I was at work and we were watching the game, and he just couldn't believe that the guy did that. It might have been the Cincinnati Pittsburgh game, maybe I don't remember,
Mhm.
but he was like, "Why did he do that?" And I'm like, "Because
Clock control.
he's trying
Yeah.
to control the clock, man." I mean,
Yeah.
but he couldn't understand it. He couldn't
Yeah, yeah.
understand it, but
Yeah.
you know,
Okay. That makes sense. All
yeah.
right, let's switch over to the Big Ten. So let's start with Purdue and Michigan. I know people love to get on us every week about the things that are said about Michigan, but it also seems like a lot of people are also singing the same song, basically about, this Michigan team. I was reading some articles. One article was called Michigan's Annoyingly Ugly Loss or whatever against
Mm,
Purdue yesterday or something like
yeah.
that. But Michigan was pushed to the brink by Purdue yesterday and kind of barely escaped a win against the Boilermakers this week.
It was an ugly game by the Wolverines, man. I sat there and I watched that whole game. It was an ugly game.
Yeah.
It's just no other way of saying it.
Hmm.
You never apologize for winning the game, obviously.
Right.
So let's get that out the way. They did win the game. Jordan Marshall had a great game. Rushed for almost 200 yards.
Hmm.
Defense. They only gave up 16 points. So the defense played well despite having a lot of injuries on that side
Hmm.
of the ball. But my
Hmm.
goodness, I mean, when you're
Yeah.
21-point favorites against a team like Purdue, you don't have to necessarily, go out and beat them 50 to nothing or anything like
Hmm.
that. But,
Hmm.
being able to cover the spread against a team like Purdue would mean
Yeah.
something at this point because now you're trying to build momentum towards that
Hmm.
last game of the season.
Hmm.
You're playing a team that you obviously better than, at least on paper. Purdue is not a good team. So these are the type of games where you want to see, okay, what kind of improvements have been made throughout the course of the first 8, 9 weeks of the season. I mean, you want to see Bryce Underwood looking good. You want to see, him making some throws that people say, oh, only if his receivers could catch the ball and this sort of thing. But the kid missed a lot of throws in that first half of the
Hmm.
game that ultimately led to it being a dogfight to the end. But if he had
Right.
completed some of these passes that were
Hmm.
easy touchdowns, Michigan would have
Yeah.
blown Purdue out, but he
Yeah.
he missed them. I mean, quite frankly, I mean, on the interception in the red zone, McCauley was standing
McCullough
wide
is
open in the end zone.
himself by himself
He's
all the way in
standing
the
wide
back.
open
I'm
in the
like,
end
dude,
zone. Yeah, and he tried to force the ball into Marsh across the middle, and the guy
right, with
intercepted it.
two guys, like, that was such a bad read, dude. I'm sorry, but that was
Yes,
a bad read. Obviously,
yeah, and
a lot of people saw that, like, people who are not
mhm.
quarterbacks who can't read the game like that could literally see that
Yeah.
McCullough was in the end zone by himself.
He was
What are you
wide
doing?
open. And I mean, and these are the plays that you would think after, you can't, after 8 weeks, 9 weeks, you can't keep saying, oh, he's just a true
He's a
freshman.
freshman.
No,
Oh.
no. I mean, we 2, 3 months into the season now, man. You got to be able to
Yeah,
make that play. And unfortunately, he didn't make it. Then, he had the breakaway run towards the end zone in the second
fumbled the
half. He
ball,
fumbled the
got the
ball out
touchback.
the. I mean, things like that happen. I mean, okay,
Yeah,
you don't get on him about that. Those
right.
sort of things happen. But I don't know if Michigan was just thinking that they could just come out as a night game in Ann Arbor, the crowd's going to be hyped, and they could just show
Mhm,
up and just win the game, and they didn't really take these guys seriously or not. But
mhm.
man, it was an ugly game. It was an
Yeah,
ugly
it was
game,
an ugly
man.
win.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a letdown. That you just played Michigan State last week.
Mhm.
You got all the hype and the emotion that goes into that game. So I don't know
Yeah.
if just emotionally the team was just let down, but man, they were
I don't
lucky
know.
to win
I
the game.
when these kind of things happen with Michigan or even with other teams, the example I'm going to use is Brian Kelly earlier this season at LSU and
Mhm,
comparing his press conference to Nick Saban when he was the coach at
mhm,
LSU at one point in time is
mhm.
conversations that we're having like this. If Alabama or LSU beat a team who they were a 21-point favorite only by 5 points, Nick Saban would have been pissed, which he was because the videos that I keep seeing are,
Mhm.
Nick Saban is like, yeah, we beat the team, but we didn't beat the snot out of them. We didn't do what we were supposed to do. We didn't
Yeah,
completely dominate on the field. We had X, Y, and Z that we could have changed and we could have played better and all the things. And then you have
right.
a coach like Brian Kelly who's like, you guys are spoiled, you're ungrateful, they just beat this team, we got the win, like what else do you want them to do, blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of like the difference of being average and complacent versus being exceptional and being great and always pushing to be better, because there's always something that you can fix. And I understand, like, you don't want to apologize for winning the game, but I guess when you know what a team is capable of and you know that they could do better, that's when this kind of conversation comes in. And I feel like that's like the discourse that I always see too on the internet, of people, on one hand being upset about always getting on Bryce Underwood and picking on him and picking the team apart and not being happy that they won, versus the people who can also recognize that this was a bad win. It's kind of like an oxymoron, but it was a bad win. Michigan did win the game, but you beat a team by 5 points and you were a 21-point favorite.
Right. And you only scored 21 points.
And you only scored 21 points. Exactly. So ideally the score should have been, 42-16.
Right.
If you're 21-point favorites.
I mean, that's what you're hoping for. What you're hoping for as a Michigan fan. And you've been kind of sitting here all season waiting for a breakout from these guys, right? So what you're hoping to see is what we saw from Ohio State, blowing out Penn State, what we saw from Indiana, blowing out Maryland. We're in November now, right? You take advantage of the lesser team and you dominate the game. That's what Michigan fans are hoping to see, or what we were hoping to see from them against Purdue, and we didn't get it, right? So of course people are going to be pushing the panic button because we're only 3 weeks away from playing Ohio State. And you looking at this team going like, I don't see how they even compete with Ohio State playing like they playing. The defense is playing decent. I give them that. I give them some credit on the defense, but offensively, there's no way you look at this team offensively and think that they'll be able to beat Ohio State at the end of November.
Not unless they got some signs they're gonna look at before the game.
Right. Exactly. That may be the only way that they have a chance, if they bring this offense. I mean, I'm hearing people say, oh, they're just saving it for Ohio State.
I'm so tired of hearing that narrative. Like, please shut up with this.
Empty the bag before Ohio State. Like, man, that's like, the dumbest thing I've ever heard, bro.
Stop saying that. Like, please stop saying that. Like, at this point, like you always say, like, this is when you should be playing your best football. What are we still keeping in the tank? Like,
what are we saving? What are we saving? So we sacrifice games against USC and Oklahoma because we don't want to show too much
Ohio State,
so we can save it for the Ohio State game. So that's what you want me to believe? No, Michigan is who they are right now. This is the offense. This is the team. And, unless the defense just play out of their minds, at the end of November, I just don't see it, man. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I said the same thing last year. I didn't think that, Michigan could beat Ohio State last year, and they did, and this team, this Michigan's team this year is reminding me a lot of the Michigan team last year. They really don't look that much different. They just don't. They don't. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm happy that they won. They're 7-2, but I said this after the Oklahoma game, man. Everybody just need to lower their expectations from this Michigan. And I'm going to say it again. Just lower your expectations, man. I mean, it's just lower your expectations. Like you said, I hear the announcers, Jake Butt, of course he went to Michigan, and he talking about going to the playoffs and all that. I'm like, man, pump your brakes, bro.
Yeah. I mean, it's a possibility that they could go to the playoffs, but like you said, there are clear holes in this team, specifically with the offense. But, if the defense keeps playing well and they continue to win, it's possible, But I mean, McCulley left the game yesterday due to injury. We already had 2 linebackers that were out to injury, and then Jayshawn Barham went out too. He was in street clothes on the sideline. He got hurt. So
they have a lot of injuries. So the bias coming at a good time for them.
Yeah.
And then Justice Hayes didn't even play. I didn't even know he got hurt against Michigan State. I started hearing about it throughout the course of the week, but I didn't even know he got hurt.
Yeah. It sounds like it's something that's going to be lingering. Yeah, I hope so. Because that's going to help. I mean, but no discredit to Jordan Marshall, because he had a career game last night, and
he did.
To Michigan's credit, they love the run game. Though, of course, that's like the one area that they do very good with reloading. Because at one point we had Edwards and Corum, and now we have Marshall and Haynes. So I'll give them that.
I was thinking about that. I think we kind of mentioned this a little bit in past podcasts or whatever. But if you're an offensive lineman and you're a running back, come to Michigan.
You got to go to Michigan.
You got to come to Michigan, bro. Why wouldn't you?
You drafted first round.
Why wouldn't you, man? You're going to get plenty of opportunity to shine. If you play offensive line and you play running back, you get plenty of opportunity to shine if you come to Michigan. I promise you.
Yeah.
I promise you.
100%.
So all you 5 stars out there, and go to Ann Arbor, bro. Great town, great school.
Great town. They got a good little ice cream place down there on Main Street.
You know
I
what I'm
love it. It's called
saying?
Washtenaw Dairy. It is the
You're going to
best.
love it.
Okay. And the portions are great.
You definitely get your money's worth. Definitely get your money worth going there, man. I miss that place.
I love it. Oh my God, I gotta go back. All right, and then I do want to kind of piggyback off what you were saying about IU and Ohio State. I want to not steal your stat, but I was interesting to see what it is. But I'm kind of keeping it going. Ohio State has outscored their opponents 293-55.
That's insane. So
I was like, let's do the quick math on this, because I'm like, I need to see. Like, what? That's
giving
crazy.
Up 6 points a game. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to go back and look and make sure I'm right on this, because I don't remember if I memorized it correctly. But I think the most points that Ohio State has given up in a game is 16 points. I think.
Was.
Yeah, okay.
Either Illinois, maybe. I think they gave up 16 points to Illinois, and they gave up 14 yesterday to Penn State. So 30 of those 55 they've given up in just 2 games.
Yeah.
I mean, their defense is on a historic level right now.
Yeah.
If they keep this up. I mean, that's incredible. I don't care how you look at it, if you're a fan of Ohio State or not. I mean, to play 9 games and only give up 55 points that's just crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy work
actually,
right there, as the kids say.
Oh my God, who taught you that? Oh my gosh.
I think I saw it on social media somewhere. Crazy work.
That is definitely in my daily vocabulary. I say that every day to something. Something is always crazy work every day.
Hey, now that we're talking about that, hey, what does 6'7" mean?
I don't know what 6'7" is. I don't. That's a little bit too young for me.
What's all that? It was
I don't know.
The word of the year, 6'7". I'm like, what does that mean?
It's like, I have no idea. That's the one thing I am lost on. I'm older Gen Z, so that must be for like the younger Gen Z, Generation Alpha, because I'm like, I don't know what this means. So maybe somebody can tell us. It's everywhere. Literally everywhere. And I'm like, I have no idea what that means, but
I can't remember which game I was watching yesterday, but one of the guys scored a touchdown and he did.
And at the end he did this. I remember. Yeah, that's yeah.
I remember St. Brown. He did it in the Monday night game against Tampa. I'm like, what does that mean?
What does that mean? I have no idea. But it's
a
silly along with everything else.
But it's funny.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know.
So I'm gonna have to ask some young people what that means, because I have no clue what that means.
I can't tell you. I don't got you on that one. I don't have you on that one.
All right, cool.
But what I was saying was the college football playoff polls, they come out Tuesday night. So we no longer care about the AP poll after this week, because the playoff poll is what comes out, and that's what really matters. But obviously, right now, Indiana and Ohio State are the respective number 1 and number 2 in Big Ten, power rankings, clear. And on top of that, with A&M, they are the top contenders right now for the CFP title, because A&M has also been doing very well too in this season. So, I mean, there's always a discourse about, I feel like, Ohio State in terms of the toughness of their schedule. And I think that that's fair. It's not their fault, but it's fair, because the Big Ten is simply just not a strong conference, especially this year. I mean, you have more anticipation around having those West Coast teams coming to the Big Ten, after Oregon and Washington ended the Pac-12 strong. They haven't lived up to that expectation. UCLA, USC obviously have not been great. USC probably more so, but definitely not UCLA. Michigan is, like you said, keep expectations low. And then, Penn State, they fell off very hard, did not live up to their expectations this year. So again, it's not Ohio State's fault, but they are good. You can't deny that, how good they do look this season. However, when you do compare it to a conference like the SEC, who at one point in time had 10 teams in the top 25, the Big Ten just doesn't compare to that.
They don't, but I don't want to keep sounding like I'm a homer
Ohio
for the
State fan.
Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, look at your shirt, dude.
Ohio State is good, man. I mean,
Ohio State is
a good team. It's the one team that if you put them in the SEC, they could still compete.
They could still compete, and they've proven
year
that
in and
year
the
past.
Yes. I mean, I believe that they could still compete. I know they could. Yeah. So they can't control who they play. The Big Ten is always, in my opinion, the Big Ten is usually overrated. Because they could be a little top heavy, and for a long time the SEC was a little overrated because they also could be top heavy. You know, this year's an exception because they have a lot of, you know, good teams in the SEC. But, and I don't take anything away from the Buckeyes, man. I mean, I don't root for them. I'm not an Ohio State fan, but I'm not a hater, right? I mean, I don't hate Ohio State. I mean, I guess maybe to an extent.
To an extent.
Not like that. I mean, I just hate them because it's the rivalry, right?
Right.
But I can still, you know, step away from it and go like, man, these guys are good, man. I mean, hating on them is not going to change the fact that they're good.
They're good.
Hating on them is not going to change the fact that they freaking win all the time, right? But they are the one team right now. If you said, okay, we're going to dismantle the Big 18 and we're going to take a team from the Big 18 and put them in any conference, you know, Ohio State would be that team that could compete wherever they went. Maybe Indiana get there at some point. Yeah, maybe Indiana could get there at some point, you know, but they're just in the beginning, if you will, of turning around their program potentially. You know, they've been good for 2 years, so let's pump the brakes on that. You know, they've been good for 2 years. I mean, Ohio State has proven over the years that they're good. They can compete. They can beat Alabama. They can beat Georgia. You know, they can beat LSU. I mean, I know they play some of these teams in the playoffs before and they lost to them or whatever. I get that.
Yeah. But they've also gone back other times to play them again. So it's consistent with them at least. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, so you mentioned about Indiana. Maybe they could, but it's like they have a long time to go of kind of catching up to that dynasty per se, or that consistency per se that Ohio State has built. You know, I mean, they won the first college football playoff. Hello. They won the inaugural year, you know, and they are basically in it every year.
When it went to 4 teams, the first year the BCS, I think it was called the BCS. They won the championship. And then when it went to 12 teams, they won championship. All right. So let's get the Buckeyes, man. I ain't gonna hate on them, man, but you know, they're good.
And seen. Okay? That's enough. Credit has been given. Goodbye. Yeah. Like that's it.
I've given them credit multiple times on this podcast. You know, the only time I might talk bad about them is rivalry week. But I'm supposed to talk bad about them on rivalry week, right? You know, you're supposed to talk trash. But you know, any other time, man, I mean, the first thing I'm looking at, you know, when Saturdays roll around, I'm looking to see what Ohio State did, who they playing. And their schedule is usually not that great, but is it because they make the other teams look bad, or is it because the teams are really not that good? I mean, Purdue is supposed to be a bad team too, right? But Michigan didn't make Purdue look bad, right?
That's a great point.
They didn't make them look bad. So I mean,
that's a great point.
Can't hate on those guys, man. Give them some credit. Give them some credit.
Whatever. I guess you're right.
Yeah,
you are right.
Yeah.
All right. Well. So that is all I have for our college football week 10 wrap up. Do you have anything else that you would like to add from this week?
No, we covered it all, man. Michigan has a bye next week, so I get some stuff done around the house.
Clean some baseboards. Change a light bulb or two.
Whatever. Yeah, I won't have to sit and watch football too much next Saturday.
Oh my goodness, that's
I haven't looked at the schedule either, so we'll see who's playing.
But there's a few good on paper games for next week, but like you said, Michigan does have a bye, so we'll see them again against Northwestern.
Yeah, it's NFL time now. It's time to go watch the Lions, man. So thank y'all for watching.
All right, well, let's go ahead and actually wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Of course, if you're not already, please go ahead and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. That way you can get updated whenever we upload an episode. And of course, it also helps us out as well. All right, we will catch you guys on the next one.
All right, thanks, guys. Stay here till we get back.